Hey guys, I realized I never updated for like the last couple of days I went to work. The last night was kind of a clusterfuck, so yeah, I think we need to do an update altogether. Since that was day 7 of working there. I mean, on the calendar it's been longer than a week, but um, in terms of how many days I've actually worked, that was like the 1 week mark. So day 5 wasn't anything to write home about. I worked the front line more, where I was dealing with customers a lot more, so that was cool. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at memorizing the recipes. I think I only have like 1 or 2 to go now, so I think it's just the Caspian and the Viviana I have to memorize now. So all the others I got down to where some of the girls were asking last night, how do you do this or how do you do that? And I'm like, I know that! And they've worked there longer than I have, so not only does that make me feel good that I'm memorizing them, it also gives me a little bit of a sigh of relief that if I should forget them after having memorized them in the first place, that it won't be the end of the world, because these girls have been there for months, and apparently they sometimes still forget them. So, anyways, so that day, I don't think there was really anything noteworthy on day 5. I don't think. Day 6 was largely more of the same. It was just getting really hectic and crazy because it was another fundraiser night. Apparently Thursdays are our fundraiser nights, and evidently it's like a different school every week. Who knew that they do fundraisers every week? That's a thing, so it was crazy. We managed, barely. We survived. Which brings us... Well, actually, let me stay on day 6 for a little bit. We got more of the fun of people being shocked by my age and being like, you know, somebody told me that and I didn't believe them, so I had to ask you myself, which tells me, shit, they're talking about me behind my back. God damn it. I hope it's not bad things. I'm hoping it's just like, holy crap, the new girl, you know, she's like 35. Like, if it's just something like that, I don't care. I'm just hoping they're not like bad gossiping behind my back, because to my face they're all super nice and they don't seem like the backstabby type or anything, so I don't think it'd be anything bad. But I don't know, my paranoia, my trauma of everything I went through in school kind of makes me worry about shit like that. But anyway, was there anything else noteworthy about that night? I feel like there was, but I can't remember what it was now, because last night just... I finally had a bad night. And I was gonna say, I would have expected this to have happened in my first week at some point. But technically, that was my 7th shift, so I guess that technically was still in my first week. But I would have expected it like my first Friday night, not the second one. But oh boy, I'm the crying girl now. Yup, it happened. It happened. I kind of knew sooner or later there would come a day where I just got so overwhelmed that I wouldn't be able to hold it back, and I'd cry. I don't know how I knew going in yesterday that that was gonna be the day. I think I effing knew. I even went in with like heavy eye makeup on to try to further will myself to not do it. I think I was just emotionally fucked up to start with yesterday, if we're being totally honest, but like... yeah, it's big oof. Basically, the Friday nights in there, as you can imagine, at a pizza place are freaking insane. So we had less people working there last night than we did the previous Friday, which already made it harder. But my manager put me on the dough machine with the premise of, I want somebody who I know can do it right every time, and that's you. So, okay, totally no pressure to not make a single mistake, but apparently because the one girl who basically runs that place with a whip almost overheard this, apparently he set the bar a little high for her with the expectations, because oh my god, every single little thing, on top of having to keep up with just how fast they needed them. It's like, this machine only goes so fast, I can't force it to go any faster, and in trying to rush me, I can't sit here and finagle it to make sure it's like 100% perfect on all sides, because sometimes I put it through a second time to make sure it is 100% perfect, because I'm a perfectionist. I need a little teeny bit more time than I was being given per one, and it kept running out. And she keeps barking at me. The minis are too small. They're too big. They're too small. They're too big. Dude, I did them the same way I always freaking did them. It's supposed to be 3 diamonds from the edge of the tray. That is how it says in the guidebook how you do them. I was doing this the same way I've always done them. The bigger ones, I was doing the same way I've always done them too. Unfortunately, the temperature of the dough that was already out had been out for a while, to where it wasn't wanting to hold together well. It was starting to crumble no matter how much I worked it in my hands. Before putting it in the machine, it was starting to crack and stuff. I'm not a magician. I can only do so much with that. Obviously, if I see a hole in it, I'm going to toss it and start over. But I would run it through there, get it a little bigger with like a second press if need be, get it to the right size and stuff. And she was bitching about these, to the point where her voice kind of became a trigger after a while, and I was trying to like distract myself and like talk to the other girls who were working there, mostly just for my own sanity. The one girl just barks, "Too much talking!" It's like, oh my god, that's never been an issue any other night. What the hell? We are still working, we are still getting everything done. What the hell? Oh my god. So, at this point, my autistic ass went nonverbal for like 2 hours and like literally felt I could not speak. Not just because of that, but just like physically felt like I could not speak. So it's like, oh, we're reverting back to freaking elementary school times now, where I would be like a selective mute. That's cool. That's cool. I think this is around the point I realized emotionally I'm in trouble right now. This is bad. I need to like get myself out of here for a few minutes. But there was like never a point where it slowed down enough to do that. It was like shit. And of course now I'm panicking. Now the anxiety attack's kicking in on top of everything else. And then I run out of dough trays. So I'm thinking, okay, I at least get to go to the back in the freezer where there's nobody. I have a couple minutes of quiet while I restack everything. That'll be okay. So I do that, and I feel a little better. I'm still fucking nonverbal at this point, but I managed to go back out. I keep doing my job. She keeps barking at me that everything I do is wrong, even though it's literally the same way I've always done it. But now things are starting to go wrong, because now these doughs are frozen, and they are not pressing out correctly, quickly enough, and I'm trying to flip them over and put them through again, and they're still not good enough. On a third try with that thing, they break. But because I'm like fucking nonverbal at this point, I feel like I can't even explain to anybody what's going on. I'm getting further overwhelmed, and I have people like lining up. I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. It's like, the walls are closing in. The panic attack is spiraling. I'm blinking back the tears at this point, because like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to speak up at this point. I feel like I literally can't. I feel like I'm gonna pass out. They like didn't give me a break on this shift or anything, and there was like an hour left, so I'm assuming at this point I'm not even gonna get one this shift, because generally they try to aim for the middle of it, and that had come and gone. And eventually I realized, oh, the mini doughs are gone. I have to go back there again to the freezer. Oh, darn. So I basically frigging book it back there this time, and I just broke down and sobbed in that fucking freezer. Because I was just like, I can't do this. Maybe this whole thing was a huge mistake. Maybe I should just walk out the door and quit and just be done. But then I'm like, no, that's being irrational. Don't do that. You'll hate yourself literally within an hour of doing it. Don't do that. Whatever you do, don't do that option. That option is not an option. Don't do that one. Anything else you want to do, fine. You want to cry? Fine. You want to, like, hit the dough in the freezer where no one's going to see it? Fine. Don't fucking quit. Don't do that. So I stay in there for like 5 minutes trying to stack these fucking trays. And of course now that shit's starting to go wrong, it seems like everything's going wrong now. Now I can't even get them to stack right. They're like collapsing down on themselves and shit, which is making me cry more. And I know damn well I can't go back out there until I get this shit to stop. But of course, with everything going wrong and feeling like the biggest failure in the universe at shit that is not even that hard, or shouldn't be anyway, that just clearly I'm the biggest fuck up known to man ever. And I just do not deserve nice things, apparently, ever. And yeah, regardless, the anxiety had skyrocketed through the fucking roof to the point where I was starting to feel like, maybe I'll just stay in here. Maybe I'll just fucking hide out in here. I don't even care if they write me up. And then I was like, no, don't do that. Get your ass back out there. I talked myself into going back out there. I at least have the little bit of leeway in that working the dough machine, at least my back is to the customers. So if I'm crying over here, at least they're not seeing it because my face is like completely in the opposite direction. They can't see that. So I'm still silent at this point, but at this point it's just like I can't even make the crying stop. So I'm just like, I'm silently doing it, but at least I have a mask on, so it's kind of catching it, but regardless. So this time, instead of yelling at me from across the restaurant, she gets up in my face to do it. And it's at that point where about halfway through this complaint, she's like, "Are you crying?" And only in that moment, it like took me a minute to be able to spit anything out, was finally just like, yes. She's like, okay, take a break. And I just like ran to the freaking bathroom because like, okay, I need to just like splash some cold water on my face, something, anything. I don't even care if my eye makeup's a fucking disaster. I don't care. I don't care. My whole outfit at this point is wiped out with flour anyway. I look like a goddamn disaster, so you know what? Fuck it. Who cares? Let's just have the whole ensemble now look like a damn disaster. Oh my god. Oh boy. And as I'm doing this and just trying to get everything off my face I can. Oh yeah, there's no paper towels in there, by the way, so I'm stuck being wet with nothing to wipe other than the inside of my mask, so that's a thing. And they sent in a girl to check on me and everything, which I was grateful for, and she asked me what happened. And this was about the point where the word vomit started and just the anxiety brain kicked in, just everything came tumbling out. And she was very patient and listened. She was like, oh honey, no. This is not even the worst that it could have been. I mean, this, like, your first job? First job in fast food? It was like, first job period. They're like, oh yeah, that makes it that much harder. That's okay. This one girl, like earlier this week, she got so overwhelmed, she walked out that door and was threatening to quit. And it's at this point I was like, you know, I was about 30 seconds away from doing that earlier. So, I get it. I talked myself out of doing that because I really don't want to quit. I would like to stay on here. But, oh my god, I got so overwhelmed. She's like, yeah, Friday nights are hard for all of us. Even when you're, like, good at, like, what you're doing, even when you know what you're doing and have been doing it for months or years, it's still hard. Because the Friday nights are really rough. And especially when we're understaffed, it makes it harder. So I get it. I feel where you're coming from. And then she was like, I think she recognized the whole panic attack status. And without even, like, having to verbally acknowledge it being a panic attack, she was kind of walking me down through stuff I recognized from therapy as coping techniques for anxiety. So I was very appreciative of this because, yeah, I needed to hear it in that moment and just do it, and helped. And was at that moment I was like, I hadn't mentioned it to anyone, even the manager there, that I'm on the spectrum, and it just makes things feel that much more amplified for me when I do get overwhelmed. And I've been pretty good at not having this happen yet until this incident, so I mean, at least it's not like this all the time there or anything, or not even on a busy night every time. It was just because they were understaffed and all of a sudden this much pressure went on me that I was not prepared for all at once, nor was I prepared for how to handle trying to verbalize that, oh my god, I can't handle this right now. I am too overwhelmed. I need to swap positions with somebody. Because I think if I had been working the online orders again, I would have been more okay. Because at least then there's like a couple people working in tandem together, as opposed to one person in whom everything is hinging on. If the crusts aren't done, no one else can do what they need to do. So it's kind of a pivotal position, with a lot of pressure on it. On the busy nights, I had not been the sole one in that position before. I had tapped in and out of it, and that was fine, but I had not been like the sole single person doing it though. I am sure that I will do it again in the future, but at least now I know it's okay to speak up and say, I am really overwhelmed, I need somebody to switch with me. So if I had known that that was okay, that probably would have helped before it reached a breaking point. But it was because the manager had said he wanted me to like stay on that position because he knew that he needed somebody who can do them right every time, and then basically getting told by the other chick that every single one of these is wrong, even though I knew full well, no, they're not. I don't know if this was a test to see how I'd handle this situation. I don't know what that was, because I was not doing them any differently from any other day I've done them. But oh boy, yeah, that was an experience. Holy crap. But I mean, I knew damn well, taking a job like that sooner or later there'd come a day that it would be like that. I'm kind of surprised it took as long as it did to hit one of those. I'm also definitely grateful that people were as understanding as they were after it happened, and everybody was still really nice, and even like the one that had been barking at me all night had taken me off of there and was understanding, basically gave me all like the easy tasks for the rest of the night. I think she realized she pushed me a little too far, and after my shift was over, she did take me aside and like apologized and tried to reassure me that you are actually really good at what you do. So, I mean, it was a little bit validating that, okay, maybe I don't completely suck and fail at this. Like, I had been feeling like I must be the biggest failure ever. But oh my god, like, I'm still like welling up even now. Like, what the fuck, self? And yet, the one detail that probably affected this more than anything and didn't dawn on me until I got in the car on the way home. TMI, I'm probably like this close to getting my period. That's probably the real reason why it hit me as hard as it did, and why I just emotionally felt off the whole day, even before I got to work, just from the point I woke up. It's like, that's it. I'm generally not one of those people who gets like yelly or bitchy or things when I PMS. I'm a crier. I will cry at the drop of a hat. I will cry at a commercial. It doesn't have to be a sad commercial. It can be a cute commercial. I will cry at the drop of a hat. You basically say something that hurts my feelings in the tiniest bit when I am in like that day or two before. I will cry. I will try really hard not to, but odds are there will be something that will make me cry at least once. So, yeah, I don't think I banked on that hitting as close to my starting a new job as it lined up, but yeah, I would not be surprised if that shows up in the next day or two. Because, yeah, for me, once it hits, it's like a relief because it's like, it's a reset on my emotions once that starts. For some people, like, that whole week they're a wreck. I apparently am spared that. It's just the day or two before I'm an emotional wreck. So there's that. So there was that affecting things, no doubt. At least there was like one little silver lining when I came back out of that bathroom. There was Beatles playing on the radio when I came out. It happened to be Come Together, which felt oddly appropriate in that people were being really supportive after that. Like, one of the girls that's like the nicest one there to me, she was like, oh, my boyfriend like brought me cookies on my break. Do you want some? Like, I trust you don't have COVID. Like, you can take whatever you want. It's like, oh my god, thank you. I was like, you know, some of this might have been like a blood sugar level thing. Some of it's anxiety. Some of it's my freaking autism. But yeah, I think PMS was definitely a big piece of it, but it didn't dawn on me till after, and I really wish it had dawned on me in the moment, because I mean, while it's a TMI thing, most of the people working there that night were all girls, so they get it. I'm sure. I'm sure every single one of them has been there at least once. So it's just like I said, because I'm on the spectrum. Anything I feel more intensely than the average individual. Be it good or be it bad, I feel it magnified. So that's a thing. um, but yeah, that. It was interesting. But I mean, at least it answered a question in my head that I'd been worrying about basically this whole time of, oh god, what happens if I ever get overwhelmed to the point where I cry at work? Am I gonna get fired? No, apparently not. Thank god. I'm sure there's other places that would've, but no, this place is like very big on being supportive of everyone. They're really, really like big on the mental health aspect of things. One of like the charities that they raise money for all the time is for mental health. So they're real big on making sure everyone's okay that works for them too. And the manager was there actually for once when my shift was over. Usually he's gone by then. This was like one night where he was still there, which was embarrassing to have to admit to him what happened, but he was like, yeah, I heard you got emotional tonight. What happened? And I had to explain it to him, but he's really nice too, so it's just like, he too said, yeah, you are far from the first that it's happened to. It's alright. But it's just like, oh my gosh. So he's like, so your next shift, you're coming in tomorrow. We're gonna do more training videos. I'm thinking, that's probably a good move. Just a little bit of downtime, emotional reset. I'll be okay. I mean, even by the time I was talking to him, I had calmed myself down and was okay. But at this point, it's like everyone was treating me with kid gloves. Probably because I'm new, and because with a new person, they get emotional. You don't know for sure how that manifests in them. You don't know if they're the person who's gonna have like a full-on nervous breakdown or something, be like crazy. So I think everybody was just like cautious for that too, and I get it. Especially for somebody who's normally quiet to start with. You don't know. But no, I was trying to just reassure that no, I'm okay. I had time to calm down. I'm okay. But as I was restocking shit that night, because this was a night where everything was going wrong anyway, the spicy sauce, oh god. I was trying to pick up the tray next to it to refill it, and that one, I think whoever had put it in there had it turned the wrong direction, and the only thing that had been holding it up was that tray that I had just taken out. It fell through the thing. I don't think I realized just what it had done, because I reached down and grabbed it and put it up correctly real quick, but it wasn't until I, like, a little bit later had gone down in there to, like, get something else out to refill a different tray that I was like, ugh! Like, there was so much red sauce everywhere, it looked like a fucking murder scene, and there was like, what do I do? So my first instinct was grab a shit ton of paper towels and, like, try to scoop it out, but then did not think this through. Now it's on the floor! I'm like, okay, do we have a mop? They're like, no. I'm like, how do we not have a mop in a place like this? We have a broom. I'm like, do we have towels? Like actual towels? Oh yeah, we have those. They're in the back. Okay, can somebody like go grab me half a dozen of those? And like a bowl? Fine. So I'm like trying to like lay them out flat and like scoop it up as best I can in those and like slop them in the bowl. It's like, I apologize for the white towels I just wiped out, but I had to do something because that's like a safety hazard, and I was like trying to blockade that spot as best I could to make sure nobody stepped and fell in it, but oh my god. I was like, no, I did this. I have to fix it. I'm not gonna just leave it there, even though they're like, leave it, we'll take care of it. I was like, I did this. I will fix it. I did get it all cleaned up, but at the same time, I almost feel obligated now, just knowing that they don't have a fucking mop. I kind of want to, like, buy a mop to donate to work, because I'm just like, that seems super unwise to not have one in a place like this. Like, only really? All we have is a broom? That's not okay. Like, dude, really? Mops don't cost that much. So I am, like, very, very tempted to, like, buy a mop. I'm sure they will look at me weird when I walk in with a frigging mop and be like, what's that? Be like, I'm donating this. I think we need it here. Yeah, you don't have to use it, but I feel like for incidences like the red sauce last night, we should have one on hand as an option at least. You know, I think it would be a good idea. Just saying. So that's a thing I'm considering doing, especially in light of being the crying girl last night. I feel like I have to somehow make up for that, even though I've been told by basically literally every single person who was working there last night that it's fine, it happens to everybody at least once. I still feel like I have to make up for it somehow, even though I realize I'm also probably being irrational. So I might try to find somewhere that sells mops and bring one with me to work today. Yeah, I don't know exactly how it'll go over, but at the same time, that just seems so stupid to not have one there. Like, honest to God. It doesn't have to be a fancy mop, it just gotta be a mop, because, dude, like, really, like, the ones with, like, the sponge in it that, like, you can squeeze out and grab, like, nothing fancy. Those are basic. Like, I can't imagine a place not having one of those. Like, even the, like, I don't know what to call them, the, like, raggedy, like, rag hair looking mops. Like, we don't even have one of those there? Really? Like, huh. Again, that seems so stupid, but also so easily fixable. So I'm just like, I don't care if it has to come out of my own pocket, but the place needs one. So I intend on taking a little initiative and doing that. I also want to, like, buy a pack of those grippy headbands that, like, on day one, since I didn't know that was, like, a necessity for people with longer hair, and he gave me the last one, I kind of want to buy, like, a pack of those and be like, remember how I had, like, the last one of those? I'm donating these two for whoever the next people who come in are that don't have those, that didn't know. Now they'll have some. I want to pay it forward. So anyways, maybe that'll help keep me in good standing. Like I said, it's probably completely unnecessary to have to go above and beyond, but it's just like, please don't fire me. Please don't fire me for one bad night, because I knew damn well going in there will be bad days. Everyone has them. It doesn't matter what the job is. It doesn't matter how much you love it. Everyone will have bad days. That's human, and that's part of the working world. And nobody's immune to them. And I know damn well it could have been a hell of a lot worse than it was, but yeah, I mean, I survived. It also didn't help that I had the stress dangling over my head from the word go that the chick who's in charge of the schedules for the following week only has me on for like 19 next week. And I was like, I was basically promised at least 25 a week. Is there any way to fix that? I had asked the main manager about that, and he was like, oh, sure, you can have more hours, but I'm not the one in charge of schedules, so you'll have to ask da-da-da. So I messaged her and asked. She's like, well, I already sent out a revised schedule, so I mean, I'll see what I can do, but if I do it, I'll have to probably just, like, write them on the printed out one at work. And I'm thinking, here's the problem with that. If I don't have any shifts for, like, the first half of the week, how am I ever going to see it if you add me in for some of those days in that first part of the week that I wasn't scheduled to come in? like, there was already drama, like, this past week with the schedule, in that she forgot to put me on it, and the main manager had to handwrite me in on the printed one at work, and had me take a picture of it, just so I'd have it. And, when she did eventually get back to me about it, she completely forgot to even mention the first shift in there. So I would have totally missed a shift had I solely gone on her message. So I'm like, oh god, it's one of those train wreck disasters. I see. Yeah, so I'm just like trying to figure out any kind of a safety net now. I kept asking around last night, basically everyone that works there that I'm pretty friendly with, trying to ask them, are you on in like the first half of next week? Could you, if I like messaged you or gave you like my cell phone number, could you keep an eye on that printed schedule and see if she writes me in? And if she does, like send me a picture of it, please. And they're like, I'm not scheduled for the start of next week either. And it's like, shit. And I'm running out of like people to ask, because like after today I have nothing for like the first half of next week. So if I don't find somebody who works in those days, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I keep messaging the girl asking about this. Could you please tell me what they are? Like, that's cool if you write them on the thing, but if I'm not there, I can't see them. I don't drive. I can't just blindly come in to go look at it and leave. I can't do that. I need you to actually send them to me so I'll know. And she's like, yeah, I will. And I'm thinking, no, you won't. And I like messaged this morning asking for an update, and there's still been nothing. She's like the slowest person to respond to stuff, so it's like causing me anxiety right there alone. So that, on top of everything that happened last night, no doubt helped add up into the shitstorm that was last night. Yeah, that. And I still feel like the biggest factor is just time of the month. Probably more than anything. So it's like, oh, I'm a dumbass. Okay. Yeah, that. It be like that. Yeah, it's rough. And then the few days she does have me scheduled for next week currently, they're like 7-hour shifts. And I'm like, oh, fuck. That one's like 6 or 7 one that I did earlier in the week. Oh, that killed my feet. And these are all that long. Oh my god, how am I gonna do the thing? I mean, the plus part is working that many hours. I do get the lunch shift that I don't normally get. But if those are the only hours I have for next week, you don't get paid for your lunch half an hour. So that's like taking out like an hour and a half from the only 19 hours anyway. And I'm like, yeah, can we like please add more hours on for me? Please don't make me start messaging every person who's working on the days that I have nothing, asking if I can pick up some of their hours if they don't want to do them. Like, please don't make me do that. I am totally the person who will do that if need be, because as the girl who was talking to me in the bathroom last night pointed out, yeah, most of us are actually usually looking to get out of having to work and be more than happy to give you some of our hours. I'm like, well, I'm the opposite. I'm trying to get more hours, so that would be fine with me. It's just a matter of trying to figure out somebody to ask and figure out what is the protocol for doing that. It feels really weird to just like blindly message someone like that and just do the thing, and then if one of them says yes, then what do? Do I message the manager and say that, hey, this person gave me this shift of theirs, write me in on the schedule? Do I mention it to the scheduling person who's like consistently dropped the ball over and over? Like, what do I do? What is the protocol for that? Yeah, that. It's interesting. I think I would try to like look for the people who have like a butt ton of hours and figure they're probably more likely to give some up than somebody who has like 12. Because the first person I mentioned that I only have 19 hours next week too is like, oh yeah, she only put me on for 12. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, I guess it could have been worse for me, but wow, 12? Oh my god. Yeah, see, here's the thing. Most of you guys are like teenagers, early 20-somethings. This is like mad money for you. For me, I have to pay bills with that money. So it's kind of important that I hit a bare minimum at least 25. Preferably, I'd love to hit 30, actually, in a perfect world. But I know that's probably not going to happen. I will happily settle for 25 as like a baseline. I just need somebody to work with me on this, you know? So, yeah. But, my goodness, I feel bad because I feel like I'm probably coming off as like uber pushy, and as like a new recruit, I feel like I'm probably not really allowed to be like that yet or anything. And I'm trying to like word things in ways that like make it clear that I'm not trying to be pushy, I'm not trying to be demanding or anything. But this is what I need, and you're the person who's in charge of making that happen, and I see time ticking and nothing happening. Is there any updates yet? And she still hasn't written back. I'm like, oh my god. Like, it's still giving me anxiety even now. So, I don't really know what to do. I guess, I'll have to try and figure it out. Joys of the working world, right? Oh god. Yeah, it's been an interesting 24 hours. Just saying. I feel okay now, in case anybody was worried. Don't worry, I'm not in like crisis mode. Even last night, I wouldn't say that I was in crisis mode. I was just in uber overwhelmed and like I'm emotionally shutting down mode. There's a big difference between that and crisis mode. I could see where to an outsider they may look the same, but no, they are entirely different things for me, because the emotionally shutting down thing, if somebody can pull me back out of it and get me talking again and get me calm and get me to stop crying, obviously, I'm okay. I'm functional. I can work. Whereas if I'm in like true crisis mode, this is where it's like, I may need a therapist. So those are the times when it's like the scary, actual suicidal mode. They thankfully don't happen often, but true crisis mode is super different from the I got overwhelmed and just like shut down thing. The emotional overwhelmed shutdown thing is what consistently happened to me throughout school over and over and over again. So I mean, I am no stranger to this phenomena. That's how I know that it's like, okay, if someone can like reel me back in from it, I'm fine. But I understand why everybody's like walking on eggshells after that. It's like, you don't need to do that. It's okay. Even if you'd like literally sent me back to exactly the same thing at that point, I probably would have been okay. But I was thankful that they did have somebody take over for me and let me do other stuff. It was just like, I was so overwhelmed on that one. It was just like, oh my god, I'm trying really, really, really hard, but like, again, that machine only works so fast, and when I'm fighting an uphill battle with the dough itself anyway, there's only so much I can do. And it wouldn't have mattered who had been manning that machine. I think anyone would have been finding the same thing happening. And I saw the doughs that were coming out from the person who was working it before I went over to it, and mine were a hell of a lot better than those, not to toot my own horn. Like I said, I know damn well why the manager stuck me on that position, is because generally I'm very good at it. But when the dough itself is starting to fall the fuck apart no matter what you do to it, no matter how much you flour it, no matter what you do, because it's either too warm and it's been out too long, or it's too frozen and it's the opposite direction, your hands are kind of tied. You can only do so much. I mean, if it hadn't have been so rushing, I can kind of work with it and fake it and get it to work, but for how fast they needed them, and like no sooner would I have it like up on the shelf, somebody's right there. It's like I can't even get ahead even like a teeny tiny bit to where there's even like 2 of each size for somebody to like grab, much less fill any of the 3 racks. It's like, I don't know what you want from me. I'm trying really hard here, but it's like, I'm human. And it's like, holy crap. And it's like, I think I was already hyperventilating within like the first hour of it. It was a 5-hour shift, so, you know, as you do. As you do. Yeah. So, I acknowledge I had a bad night, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad job or anything. It doesn't mean that I don't like my job. I still love my job. I still look forward to going to it. Like, even today, I'm still looking forward to going to it. I just had one bad night. And we all knew that there would be some days like that. I'm kind of surprised it took that long, like I said earlier. So, it is what it is. It's a new day. We'll see how today goes. Hopefully better. But, given how many shifts I've worked now, and given that 6 good ones to 1 not so good one, it's still a pretty good ratio. You know, even if it stayed something akin to that, that's still a good ratio for good to bad. I can live with that. I mean, I'd like to hope that I don't have a crying spell once a week, but I don't see that happening realistically, don't worry. I just feel really embarrassed more than anything now, because it's like, oh god, it's just like every school I ever went to, I'm the crying girl again, but being reassured that almost every single person, or at least of the girls who've worked there, almost all of them have reached this point at least once themselves, makes me feel better. Also made me feel reassured that the person that they sent in to talk to me when I was mentioning that I'm on the spectrum and how magnified I feel everything, she was like, I understand because I am too, and I get the same way. It's like, I'm not 100% certain if that was just said for my benefit or if that's true, but if that's true, at least there's like one ally who like 100% understands what I'm going through. So there is that. But yeah, it's just, ooh, it was intense. Friday nights are always intense there though, so, because they kept saying that, yeah, Fridays are stressful. They're stressful for all of us, so, like I said though, there were so few people working last night to where the few people who were there were spread really, really thin. It was like, why do we not have more people on tonight? Like, for real, why are there not more people working? Like, normally we've got like at least a dozen people back here at nights. Like, last Friday, I think we had like 15 people back there, to where there was one point where they were sending people home because they decided it was too many. This week we had the opposite extreme where there was just not enough people to go around. Yeah. I'm hoping that they don't take this as a, yeah, don't put her on Friday nights thing, because it's like, no, 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 don't do that. It was an experience, so it happened. I lived through it. I guess I get a story out of it, but not a very good story, but it's still a story to tell, so. I'm almost positive some of you watching this have lived similar at some point in time. If you feel cool sharing those experiences with me to make me feel a little better, you know, you could maybe do that. If not, that's cool too. But, anyway, I think that's about it for this one, so I should probably get my work clothes in the wash before my shift starts, because I have a morning shift today, so Anyways, that's it for this one. So as usual, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe, hit that notification bell icon so you never miss an upload, leave comments down below. Make sure you're following my social media accounts, my Facebook fan page, my Twitter, my Instagram, my Etsy, everything and more. It's all down below. And if you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to help support it, the donation link, as always, is down in the description. Anyway, guys, until next time, bye-bye.